Doesn't sound like it. So it's 9 o'clock. We have a few in. We got Amanda Wheeler, Brian, Colin, Wes. Everybody's in. So let's
Amanda
get rolling.
Wheeler, formerly of Mark Fisher Fitness.
She's in.
Really?
Can you
talk.
see her? Amanda, talk.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
There she is.
Hi.
Oh, that's a cool hat.
I wore my best outfit for you tonight.
Amanda, is that a onesie?
It sure is.
Oh, shit.
That's awesome.
Amanda, look at this. See?
Oh.
Yes.
I got a little story with behind this one. So my buddy Brian Chung, do you guys know Brian?
Brian who?
Brian Chung.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian, I always have to give him like his full title. It's Brian Chung, OTPT, MD, PhD, plastic surgeon. So everybody understands how smart this guy really is. So on a whim, he sends me this Batman onesie, and apparently we have matching onesies. So I'm
That's awesome.
very excited about that.
That's funny shit.
Yeah, it's cold here.
Indiana is cold. The Midwest is brutal.
It is right now. It is very cold. It's like 4 below wind chill.
That sucks.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not fun.
It does suck.
So let's get rolling. For those of you who don't know, you should know, this is Bill Hartman. He's a great PT in Indiana. He's part owner of a business called iFast, Indianapolis Fitness and Sports Training, where he co-owns with Mike Robertson, who is a fantastic strength and conditioning coach. And I can say firsthand, I was there for the first time in January. And if you guys check out Mid South and everything, they're always in the top 10 gyms in the world pretty much every year. And, I can attest that that's legitimate. It's a great facility, great people there. They have great systems. And, my first real interaction with Bill was I was training with Mike Roussel in State College a number of years back, and he and Bill are good friends, and so they would be talking, and we would talk back and forth and about Bill and some of the things that he'd given Mike to do for training and rehab and everything, and I remember Mike did something and screwed himself up, and Bill found out that I was a massage therapist, so he sent all these instructions for things for me to release on Roussel so he could be a normal person again. So it was pretty cool. So that was my first interaction with Bill. And then I remember sending Bill an email and being like, how the fuck did you know for me to do all that stuff? And then he gave me a bunch of letters that I didn't understand. And I was like, cool. So
That was an elbow thing, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so we're really happy that we have him in, and he's a wealth of knowledge from just about anything where you can talk about the human frame or the things that constitute it. So this is a pretty big treat. So I would really behoove everyone to take advantage of this, and hopefully you have some questions ready for him. If not, I'll ask questions because I'm interested in knowing some shit. So without further ado, Mr. Bill Hartman. Yay! It's always awkward on video conferencing because you're not. Does everybody hear us or what's going on? Does anybody have any questions for Bill before I start asking questions?
I've got a question.
This is Wes. Wes is awesome, Bill.
Hey. Okay. So this is kind of random, but I don't know. I thought about this and I wrote it down. Do you see any major discrepancies in terms of people that you see versus Gen Pop versus athletics or athletes, if that makes sense, in terms of injuries or ways you need to fix them type stuff?
So is there are you like a diagnosis kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess like what is there any crossover between athletes and Gen Pop that how you fix them, or what's the most common injuries you're seeing for amongst those two groups, I guess? I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I think I understand what you're saying, and so here's my patented answer. I don't treat people by diagnosis at all.
Right.
And I treat humans.
Right.
and I treat their presentation. So it's not that I don't consider the diagnosis. I mean, obviously, I'm targeting some sort of change, but as far as somebody walking in the door, I do the exact same evaluation on everybody,
Right.
because of the way that I treat. So I'm looking for patterns that people present with that limit their movement system variability, and then I attempt to restore, actually help them restore. I'm not a fixer. I'm an interactor, you know? And so I try to help them restore as much of that variability as needed to alleviate their inability to achieve a position or a movement. But as far as like diagnoses are concerned, you're going to see a little bit more peripheral overload on athletes than you would say the general pop. General pop tends to come in with neck, shoulder, back, right? With your more active clientele, you're going to see more overload on the extremities. So I'll see more elbows, and I'll see more knees, and I'll see more ankles and feet on the more active people. But as far as the way that I treat them, I don't treat them any differently. Because again, I'm not treating by diagnosis. So, I might have to make an adjustment to someone's shoe that complains about shoulder pain because of an influence on the total body pattern, because I'm looking at the response to the sensory input, right? And so I've got sensory inputs from, the obvious stuff that's from the neck up. And then I've got some stuff that we don't really think about as far as like my contact with the ground and its influence on the postural reactions, the muscular activity that comes from the ground up. So, in that respect, I don't treat anybody any differently. But if there's a difference in diagnosis, it'd probably be you see a little bit more peripheral stuff in the active people.
That's essentially what I meant, but thank you very much.
Okay.
Can you define, so you said movement variability, can you define that for everyone and maybe how you determine it?
Sure, absolutely. So here's my little cookbook thing that I use on almost every patient to explain it to them, because it's really hard to understand for most people. If you had to sit on a really, really hard chair for a really, really long time, your butt would start to hurt, right? And so normally what you would do is you would fidget. You would change position, or you would actually get up and restore blood flow to your butt. But if I didn't allow you to move, and we allowed that discomfort to persist, and it would eventually start to grow in intensity, that would be what the result of a lack of movement variability is. It's the inability to change enough to alleviate pressure on certain areas. And that those areas will send signals to your brain, and your brain interprets them based on salience. So it's a level of importance. So it's something that's important, then you will get some sort of response. And in some cases it's pain, and in other cases it's something else. It's another system will respond to it. So that's the easy way to understand a lack of variability. So restoring variability is restoring the movement options that are available. So a lot of people that come to me or actually into the gym itself, because we evaluate very similarly, is we're looking for patterns and ability to control position and therefore muscle activity that limit movement options. So does that give you a little bit of understanding as far as like how I would explain it to someone?
Totally.
So Bill, is that like with PRI and people who are stuck in extension trying to achieve neutrality? Is that sort of the same concept?
Yeah. So the way we would evaluate that is with our general assessment process, which is a PRI-based evaluation system. So there's an algorithm within PRI that is like the most common findings that you'll see, and through that it guides our process as to how we restore variability back to the movement system.
That's great. Anybody have any questions based on that?
Very good. If you're doing like a PRI workshop or taking a certification, is there like a PRI 101, or where would would you suggest starting? Because I've seen so many different type, like PRI for this. Where would you start if you were doing a certification?
Hang on, I need you to back up a little bit because you're cutting in and out as far as your sound quality goes.
Can you hear now?
Ask me again.
As far as PRI certifications go, where would you start?
Where would you?
Where do you start?
Is it like 101, PRI 101 basic?
Which course would you start with?
Oh, which course?
Yeah.
Well, that's easy. So here's the process. Myokinematic restoration is the lumbar, pelvis, and spine course. It is the most biomechanical of all the courses. So it's very easy to go from a muscles and joints perspective that a lot of people have to understand how the nervous system influences these areas. If I was just assisting at the course actually last weekend, and it continued to be one of my favorites because it really laid the foundation for me. It was the one that sort of like the light bulb went off. And I always appreciated the nervous system to a certain degree, but it answered a lot of questions because of patterns that we had seen at IFAST. We were open for 2 years, I think, before we got into the PRI stuff. And I took the myokinematic home course because I had seen the manual at Cressy's when I was hanging out over there one day. And it looked very familiar to me as far as like some of the things that I was seeing in there. And we had seen these patterns over and over again and had no idea what we were looking at because we were stupid. And once I started glancing through the manual, and then I took the course, and it's like the light bulb goes off. It's like, oh, this is what we've been seeing all along. This is why we keep seeing the same patterns over and over and over in a lot of our people. And so the myokinematic restoration is definitely what I would consider the first course to take. Now, if there's something live and local, by all means take it, but I would get the myokin first. Second course would be postural respiration, and what that does is it takes a thorax, the rib cage, and it stacks it back on top of the pelvis, and so now you can start to make those connections, because the reality is that the axial skeleton is what drives most of these patterns. So cranium, or as we would say, the sphenoid, which is in the cranium, the sternum and the sacrum are the three bones that basically determine position and the pattern. So that gets you the big two, the sternum and the sacrum. And then from there, the pelvis course, the pelvis restoration course, is very frontal plane oriented through the pelvis, and it ties together a lot of the concepts that you have to leave out of the myokinematics course, because the myokinematics course is a little bit more simple and more basic, whereas the pelvis course ties a lot of that stuff together. So you have the athletes that maybe show frontal plane deficits or agility-based deficits that you can't figure out. The pelvis course actually gives you a lot of information in that regard that the myokinematics course wouldn't give you. So if you're going to take the three foundational courses in order to be myokin, postural, and then the pelvis. Does that help, Amanda?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else on that stuff? So I guess I have a question that layers on top of that. Obviously as a physical therapist, you really have to make interventions to get people out of pain and to drive a movement system towards some level of basic proficiency. And so it makes sense that you would have PRI and you would take PRI. So why would this be valuable for one of us? Why would this be valuable for a personal trainer to take a PRI course? And I guess that would be the only part of the question is why would it be useful for us?
Sure. Well, we all deal with movement on some level. And so it seems to me that, if there is a component of understanding that may be lacking, for me, PRI provided that. Because I was looking for something, because we had seen patterns and limitations in movement. And the interesting thing was working in the clinic for, well, now 25 years, but at the time, probably like 16 or 17 years before I hit on PRI. I had seen bits and pieces of the patterns, but when we do these full evaluations that we do at IFAST, the whole pattern shows up every time. And so for me, it answered a lot of questions. Because we all deal with movement, it stands to reason that if there is a component of our understanding of movement that's lacking, PRI is going to provide an element of that I just haven't gotten anywhere else, regardless of what evaluation system that I have studied. And I've taken, pick a course that you've heard about or whatever, and I've probably been there, and taken several of them several times, but nothing else has connected the sensory systems. And so everybody moves in similar ways based on the information that we take in from our environment, and then our system processes that information, and then we spit out a behavior. That's how movement occurs, and nothing else has given me that. There are very biomechanical courses that are very helpful as far as understanding movement is concerned, but again, they don't tie everything together for me the way PRI does. And so if you have a client that demonstrates a movement deficit as a trainer, and we can talk muscles and joints all day long, but if we don't understand that the room that I'm doing this evaluation in or activity in, or the environment that I'm in, or the shoes that they're wearing, or the fact that, and again, I'm probably stepping outside the bounds of our typical thought process for training, but that everything influences the outcome. The human system is a self-organizing system, which means that there's not one system in our body that sort of overrules all of them. But because we deal with movement, that's our primary system to evaluate. But it also happens to probably be the primary system that is most important in regards to how the entire human functions, because everything that we do is movement-based. Every thought that you have used to be a movement. Before we could communicate verbally, we would use gestures. Those gestures became speech. Speech became internalized, and then that became our thoughts. And so the movement system is incredibly powerful. And again, nobody's ever made these connections for me, in regards to all these possible influences like PRI did. And so maybe I've examined this stuff a little bit deeper than even a lot of PRI people have, because I wanted to know why it worked in the first place. Because, when you see some of the dramatic changes that you do see that are instantaneous, it's not about a stretch. It's not about a weak muscle. It's about achieving positions. And we talk about positions all the time with exercise activities. I mean, when have you not talked about neutral spine to a client at some point in time when you're trying to teach them how to lunge or squat or deadlift, whatever, right? So I guess it just answered a lot of those questions for me as far as how movement actually arises from this human system. And I don't know if that answers your question, Todd, but
no, it totally does. It totally does.
That's how I think of it, right? So I don't look at muscles as lacking length or being weak anymore. I look at them from the perspective of what position are they in.
Sure.
My evaluation system. So, if I have a pelvis that tilts forward, and I think we can all picture this, the hamstring has to lengthen. Well, what happens if I keep that hamstring in a lengthened position for an extended period of time? Well, it will test weak, but is the muscle actually weak? Or is it just the fact that I've had an excessive amount of alpha motor neuron stimulation from a muscle that's been eccentrically oriented for a length of time, and so it's just more difficult to recruit? So how do I fix that? Well, do I strengthen that muscle with some sort of strengthening activity, or do I just merely use an activity that puts it in a better position to be active, and then I make the correction there? No other system gave that to me before. It was always a fact that, this muscle is weak, all right? Even though it's positioned long, we've always tried to strengthen that, but we didn't strengthen it in the right position first. We have to give it the opportunity to be in a better position. And then if we even need to strengthen it, then we can strengthen it, because a lot of times really restoring position of the skeletal system puts the muscles back in their a more optimal position to be strong. And again, maybe there's other other systems that do that now, but they certainly weren't before I got into the PRI side of things. You know?
Oh, no, totally. So I guess what I'm hearing that you're saying, and this is completely another offshoot, is that we don't organize ourselves in movement, because I think there's a really bad paradigm that a lot of people use to understand that's been sent down for a long time, is that we're completely top-down organizers, and that's just not reality.
That's more of like a schema-based theory, I think. And again, I'm not as deep into the schema as I am like dynamical systems, but I think it's a schema-based theory that there is a hierarchy where the nervous system does rule. So the way I would sort of counter that, it's like, okay, so what if I had a bony change in my knee that didn't allow my knee to move a certain way? So now I've got an influence that is not centrally driven that's going to influence the outcome of a movement pattern that I am trying to achieve. Right. So now I go around that somehow. And so now I might have to rely on connective tissues elsewhere to give way to create mobility somewhere else, right? And that's not a brain-driven adaptation. That's a peripheral adaptation. Right. And so while we can say that, yeah, the brain rules, it's certainly not the only system that organizes the movement system in and of itself, because we rely so much on, when you talk about dynamic activities, like really explosive, fast activities, these things are occurring faster than the brain can organize anyway. So we rely tremendous amounts on connective tissue. Just sprinting alone is so heavily oriented towards the connective tissue system producing force. Just the elasticity in and of itself, that these are not brain-driven activities. This is a peripheral functioning activity. We're very hindbrain when we're sprinting. We shouldn't have to think about it, because then if we have to think about anything, we slow down and then we're no longer fast and explosive. So again, there's no one system that can rule at any one time. There's some that influence it more, but again, even the brain doesn't rule all the time.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to know. I think that there's still a lot of bad explanations out there that use that kind of analogy, or like the computer analogy, that don't really add up. So that's good to.
Yeah, we're a complex, adaptable system, and that's how we have to look at it. And then again, and that's why it's so important to understand all the separate systems, but when it comes down to movement, we also have to understand, like, all this stuff is integrated. There's not one that rules. Totally.
So speaking of integration and aggregation, so you talk about PRI really setting off a light bulb for you and helping you understand the sensory system. So I think one of the things that, especially I know that Chris and I try to do, and I think we do a really good job of, is aggregation. So we obviously have a bunch of different systems that we've been exposed to, and we've taken those and, I guess, conjoin them into something that functions well to make change. Mm-hmm. Are there certain systems that you see, or things that you use that you think integrate well and aggregate with PRI and help you make decisions that you use in your programming?
Absolutely, but here's the thing that and again, I have to give you my perspective. It's the only one I have. PRI is what answers the question for me as to why other stuff works, because it provides me a test-retest algorithm that lets me know that I have restored variability to the movement system in some way, shape, or form. So whether I'm performing a manual technique, or whether I'm doing PNF, or whether I'm doing a strength activity, all of these things influence the system. And what PRI provides me is the measurement tool to determine whether my outcome was successful. Because sometimes you can't trust your eyes, right? Sometimes I actually have to measure these things. And so again, that's what it provides me more than anything else, because I don't care how you get there, but I want you to know when you get there. And so how do you know that, right? I mean, we can say that, oh yeah, you lift that weight, or you did this exercise really, really well, but how did you do that? Did you have the enough rotation in that one hip, or did you use some sort of compensatory activity to get there? what I want to do is I want to give somebody the maximum number of options available, and then let the system figure out the best way to do it under the circumstances that they're performing. That's why we go back to the three concepts. I have the human, I have the environment, and then I have the task. And all of these three things integrate into the outcome. And that's what PRI provides me.
Perfect.
So it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what system you use. I really don't care. But if your evaluation system doesn't provide me the same thing that PRI does, then it's falling short.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions based on that? No?
Because I tell you what, I use weights, I use kettlebells all the time. And the goal then is to maintain that system variability. So it doesn't matter what tools you use. It doesn't matter what system you follow. I use PNF a lot. There's PNF built into the PRI corrective algorithms and such, like you wouldn't believe. If you want to study a system that has value across the board, man, get deep into PNF. It's powerful. They were brilliant, and that was back in the 50s.
Yeah. That was rehabbing World War II vets and stuff, right?
That's where it all started. But I mean, and I always have the running gag, in the gym is that everything looks like PNF to me. Every system that people teach, or I tell you what, if you want to make a mint, take one piece of PNF, refine it into its own system, and then sell it. And that's what you're going to see in a lot of these courses. And I don't want to pick on any one of them, but I could probably name 4 or 5 courses that you can go to that are all a component of PNF that they've just pulled out, separated, gave a different name, tweaked it a little bit, and it's exactly the same system, but it's all part of this gigantic system of PNF. Because from a fitness perspective, most people are only exposed to like contract, relax, stretching, and they call that PNF, and that is like an infinitesimal amount of what PNF really is.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something. I was actually recently assessed through the PRI protocol and found it extremely effective. And so I've actually been looking into it. I'm usually working with General Pop. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a business owner in the city. And I was told about it was basically the fitness and movement course.
Mm-hmm.
That I was told by the person who had already taken all 3 major or 4 courses, saying that, if you're a personal trainer, that taking that course would really give you a good amount to work with being a personal trainer. I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that, Bill.
All right. So here's my biased opinion, because I've actually taken the fitness and movement course.
Yes.
One of the best course manuals I've ever seen. Exceptionally well written. However, so out of 60 people that were there, I think there's 40 noobs and 20 people that have taken PRI courses. And we had a very, very well-qualified strength coach sitting at our table, and he was the only guy that had never taken a PRI course before. And the way that all the affiliate courses, not just fitness and movement, but the way that they teach the affiliate courses, these are all specialized topics that they try to teach you the foundations of PRI in the first 4 hours of the course, and then expect you to try to apply that throughout the rest of the 2 days. And I think for most people, I think it's exceptionally difficult to do that, because you don't get enough depth and you don't get enough reps to really apply the PRI model and then be able to apply it in a specialized circumstance. And I have provided this criticism to PRI as well, so I'm not afraid to say this, that I think they got this process reversed. I think you should have to take some foundational courses first, then go to the fitness and movement course, because now you've got an understanding of how we measure and apply the concepts, and now you can take it into the gym and you can say, here's what I would do if I were you, because as a physical therapist, I can freely touch people and manually apply some of the concepts that a trainer just can't do. So you have to find other ways around that. And so I thought, I used our one guy at our table as sort of my go-to, and I questioned him constantly. It's like, do you understand that? Do you understand where this would apply? And by the end of the 2 days, he kind of got it, but I don't think his confidence was really high. So if it's your first exposure, and again, this is my biased opinion and my criticism towards the process. And I understand what they're trying to do. They're just trying to share this with a mass of people that are interested in it, right? But I think that it's very difficult to walk in cold and grasp the concept of how you're going to actually change people. That's why I think the foundational courses are, and if we go back to Todd's earlier questions, like why should I take a PRI course? Well, if you're going to take the fitness and movement course, I would suggest that you get the foundational ones under your belt. So you walk in loaded for bear and say, okay, now how do I apply this in my environment? Because again, the original courses are, and they're originally designed for rehab. So they use rehab concepts and language, but from a movement perspective, we all need it. We all need that understanding. But then to apply it in a specific realm, I think you need to have those foundational courses. Now, if I could be a salesman for PRI for a second and I get nothing from this, their home study courses are excellent. They really, really are. And I've gotten to know each of the instructors personally. And one, great people, but all great teachers across the board. The only thing that you don't get out of the home study course is the direct interaction of asking a question on the spot. And even then, you can email them because they know you're taking the course, and they will answer your questions, within a 24, 48-hour window. So you can get your questions answered. But again, to reiterate my biased opinion, get some PRI under your belt, then take the fitness and movement course. It's my favorite manual out of all the courses by a long shot. And that's saying something because their manuals are exceptional as far as the quantity and quality of information. You take a course over 2 days and then you can spend the next month going through the manual and continue to pick out bits and pieces. But the fitness manual is excellent. And they reshot the exercises in the gym because a lot of them look kind of clinical when you look at the other PRI manuals. I sound like I'm selling this stuff. Sorry, but the manual is really, really good the way it's laid out. And like I said, they reshot it in the gym, so you can literally apply this stuff in your own environment, and it's very comfortable and it's very well done. So again, not to turn this into like a big PRI sales pitch, but
I love it. Thanks
that's what I would do.
Nope, cool. Anybody else have any questions right now? Cool. I'll start asking the shit I want to know.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
How big is your big ass kettlebell that you guys got?
Oh, like that big, what was that, 132, Chris?
Yeah,
Seriously?
60 kilo. Yeah, 132 pounds.
Holy crap. Okay. I want to see you do a get up with that.
That might be a while.
132 pounds.
We got a 123 pound kettlebell as well, but it showed up with an empty box.
Oh, no way.
And UPS said, "Oh, we don't know where it is," but they delivered an empty box that said "caution heavy."
I'm sure they picked up the box and the kettlebell is still resting where the box was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because who ships a 123 pound item in a box? The 132 pound one came in a wooden crate. So
Great.
Yeah. I just had to throw that out there before we got too deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Todd. Sorry.
No worries. So, all right. So let's jump tracks a little bit. So I'm curious to know, what do you think that we focus on too much? What are we over focused on as trainers and strength coaches?
This creates a little bit of a problem for me because I live in my own little world, right? Like everything's like lollipops and rainbows. And so I don't really have like this, I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of people and I get some ideas as to what we might focus on too much, but what if we just sit, let's turn this around to make it a positive. It's like, what should we focus on?
Okay. I like that.
Let's do that. Here's the thing that's lacking in our industry is a deep appreciation for the foundational sciences. And I'm talking, your plain old like physiology, anatomy. Oh my God. Even in so I get a physical therapy student every semester. And these are supposed to be kids that are coming out that are going to be movement specialists, and they lack foundational understanding of anatomy, like literally where some of these muscles are. And if we're going to talk about movement, and if we're going to understand movement, we're going to teach movement, we should sure as hell know, where things are. So again, foundational appreciation of just plain old anatomy and physiology. A lack of that limits your ability to think critically. Okay? And that's a big problem when you're trying to make decisions with someone's health, right? I mean, to be a personal trainer, what does it take to be a personal trainer anymore? I mean, I don't even know. Can you, like, is a 30-day cert still like the doorway in for most of these people?
I think you can pull shit offline on like 4 hours now. I mean,
and think about it. There's no law anywhere that says that you have to have any credential whatsoever.
You don't.
And my fear is that the largest portion of our profession are merely people that really like to work out, that have slightly better exercise technique than their clients, and that's what qualifies them. But let's go back to the critical thinking. So let's say that we have to make a decision, right? We see something that we don't like, or we are presented with a problem that a client presents with in regards to fat loss or my energy levels or whatever. If I don't have at least a foundational understanding of the basic sciences, what the hell am I relying on to make my decisions? I mean, is it just because I read Tony Gentilcore's blog and now I'm going to say, well, Tony says do this exercise that he pulled from Bill? That's a dig at Tony. He knows about that one. So I taught an exercise to one of my clients, and she taught it to him, and then he put it in his blog. So, but I did. Anyway, it's like, is that really our education system for personal trainers? Is that their critical thought? So here's the problem with that now. So let's say that I'm a personal trainer. I did my 30-day cert, and that's my education. And then I'm presented with another piece of information, say at a seminar or through an educational program of some sort. And I don't have the capacity to challenge that idea on any level. And what that means is that I have to take everything that person says as an absolute, because I have no defense against that whatsoever. I cannot challenge that idea. I cannot offer anything in the contrary to that idea. So I have to accept that. And that's why some of these systems that are prolific in our industry are so strong and so foundationally believed in, because people cannot counter anything that any of these people are saying. And that's a problem, because now we've got questionable information that gets proliferated, okay, poorly explained, poorly understood, and then poorly applied. But then it becomes part of the mainstream. It becomes this absolute. It's like, do you use such and such a system? It's like, well, no, I don't. And people say, well, why don't you? Said, because this, this, and this. And they go, oh, well, wait a minute. But I thought they told me this, this, and this. They go, well, why didn't you ask this question? Well, I didn't know to ask this question because I have no idea what they're talking about in the first place. So we need a much stronger foundation from which we are creating trainers, right? It used to be okay when we were just gym instructors, right? We were just like the fit guy in the tank top that looked really good, that could show you how to bench press. Okay, great. You benches 300 pounds, so now we got somebody that's qualified. Okay, but we're better than that now. We've evolved. This isn't 1978, and Jake Steinfeld is the guy that coined the term personal trainer because he worked with Jane Fonda, at her house or whatever. We're so much better than that, and so we have to evolve. But we have to evolve from the inside out. We have to have an education system that values the basics. And I'm talking about getting into the basic science, because again, where do we make our decisions from? That's where we make our decisions from, because this is about science. This is about understanding our senses and how they influence movement, and understanding how we produce energy and what energy system is important under which circumstance. We have these asinine quotes about, people cherry picking research and saying, well, look at this intensity. All I need is intensity because I get the same training effect whether I do, high intensity or low intensity. And that's not the reality, because then they can't think critically and understand what's actually going on in that study. So again, that's what we need to focus on, regardless of what people are focused on. If I had to pick on one thing, I'd say people are too focused on tools, because, it's real easy to create a certification, I guess. And it's remarkable what people will pay to go take a tool-based certification these days. It is remarkable. And the running gag is, I've never taken a barbell certification, but I use a barbell on a regular basis. Do I have to get certified in every freaking tool? Do I have to swing a battling rope? I got to take a certification to understand how a battling rope works. What if I just understood the energy systems that underlie any activity, and then I can be creative and create my own activities? That's what we really need to focus on. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. I couldn't agree with anything that you said more.
That's
Sorry, I got a little passionate there. I'm a little sweaty.
That's awesome. No, that's fucking great. So it's almost like where, people get away from, even in teaching, because when I was in school, I initially was going to be a teacher, and everything.
Art teacher, Todd.
I was going to be in the school system, is what I was going to be. So, but we were getting away from like rote memorization and things like that, and personally, that didn't make any sense to me, because it's like you want to create all of this thought, and you want these kids that can think deeply and critically. Well, you have to have some fucking raw materials to be able to think with. And that's just, yeah. So it lines with.
We don't have that. We just don't have that. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And again, I'm not here to sell anything, but that's why we're doing what we have now.
Totally. 100%.
And that's why we do. That's why we have, our internship program. Okay, my little pet peeve here. We actually have interns that are supposed to be college educated that come in, and they have still been told, this is the level of education that people are getting. They have still been told that lactic acid is a source of fatigue. And it's like, okay, I think we kind of debunked that when I was in college.
It's been a long time.
Well, thanks, man. It has been a long time. I'm like 100 years old now. But seriously, it's like that's still being perpetuated. It's like these are college professionals. These are PhDs that supposedly are deep in the research end of things and teaching classes to students, and they're still giving this shit level of information. And it's like, that's what we're turning out. These are the raw materials that we're going to give the next group of professionals.
Yes.
It's like, that's just piss poor.
It's bad. It really is. It really is bad. And that's, Chris and I have had interns, even from Penn State, Wes, that, they don't give kids what they need. There's one story. It was actually Wes. Wes was one of my interns when I still had a place in Pennsylvania.
I know this story. I know exactly what story you're going to tell him, but tell it.
All right, buddy. They, the one guy, I forget, I don't even remember maybe you can help me out, Wes, but they were saying
it was a strength coach for our rugby team. Yeah. Yeah.
That was at Penn State.
Okay.
At Penn State was one of our strength coaches.
Was coaching kids that a squat and a deadlift were the same thing. It's just for a deadlift, the bar was on the floor. I lost my fucking mind. I was only like 24, 25, so I was even more angry than I am now. And I fucking I blew my top. I was like, how are you teaching this? Like, how are you this bad? Like, you work with Division I athletes. It was terrible.
That actually happened too. I was there.
So I grew up in Pennsylvania, and we used to get the replays of all the Penn State games on Sunday afternoons. And so I was a big Nittany Lions fan. I had the sweatshirt and the whole thing, right? So I have a little bit of interest in Penn State. And the thing that always irked me to no end is that you've got Zatsiorski.
No shit, right?
And no one went down the ball and like picked his brain as to what they should be doing. You know, because Penn State was an HIT school for what, 20 years, 25 years?
Oh God, so bad. JT was so fucking bad.
You know,
So bad.
you know
Are you talking? Oh yeah. The old strength coach. He did nothing but hit and machines. It was all hammer strength and reps failure and all this bullshit every workout.
Was it
NCAA one year, and I was thoroughly disappointed.
Oh man.
Bill? Was it you that made the joke? Oh, I know your old strength coach, Hammer.
Hammer Street.
Said
Yeah.
No, that wasn't me.
But even like
Pass that one on.
there you go. But Zatsiorsky and Mark Latash, like his book Neurophysiological Basis of Movement, like if you read that, you have so much to think with, like when you examine anything. It's fucking
take those two books. Take his book and Science and Practice.
Yeah.
Those two alone, you know, you could start your business with that.
I give that book out. I give Neurophysiological Basis of Movement out to interns all the time. It's fucking unbelievable. But no one's going to walk down the hall and ask those guys questions. It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. It's like, how do you not know this? It's like one of the greatest strength and conditioning minds in the world. And he's right there.
Yeah. I think he's done now too. I don't think they were doing a bunch of motor redundancy research on the hand, and I think he's done now. But this is interesting shit. But anyway, let's move on. So anybody have anything before I jump in and ask more stuff? No?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to unmute my mic.
Okay, go ahead.
Bill, there was a blog, I think, from either a year or two back you had on long-term athletic development.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of not anything we've been talking about so far yet. But you said that what we really need to educate are the parents, like the sport coaches.
Right.
And I completely agree with you. My question is, what are you guys doing at IFAST? Like, how are you guys getting that message out? Do you have any strategies that, you know, I work with youth athletes, and that's one of the things that I really want to focus on is how do we get that message out to parents, to coaches, things like that.
Good question.
The sport coaches are pretty hard-headed because they know it all.
They're the worst.
They are. I mean, they really are.
They're the worst.
And again, I don't want to direct blame on any one group, but if there was one group that I would really like to take aside and put in a room and you know, berate them, it would be the sport coaches. So you got like an eighth grader that has to participate in all these different clubs and associations because, you know, if I want to go to college and play ball, I have to be part of this group. It's ridiculous. And the thing that we always tell parents is like, you know, if your kid's good enough, they'll find him. And you know, what we do, like one of our big programs is we literally have a free, and we just call it Youth Athletic Development class, a YAD class. We do it twice a week for free. And so anybody under the age of, I think it's under the age of 12 or 13, can participate in the class. It's twice a week. It's a little gym classy. It's a little training. It's a little fun. They play some games. And that's where we make our connection with the parents because they got to bring their kid. And so the parents are hanging around and it's like, oh, this is really cool. I wish they had this when I was a kid. It's like, we called it gym class. You know, but that's really impacted our clientele as far as like the people that we're starting to draw, because then those parents talk to their other parents when they have to have an organized play date for little Johnny. And instead of letting the kid go out and play and create their own games, and actually that's part of what we do is the kid actually we literally step back and say, okay, here's the concept. You guys make up your own rules, and then you're going to play for 15 minutes. And the kids just love it. I mean, they're beside themselves because it's creativity, it's activity. There's no adults getting in the way. And so it's really foreign for them. And just to see the joy on their face when they get done, they say, hey, when do we get to come back? That kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. One of our trainers, Ty Terrell, is exceptional at communicating with parents. So any parent that comes into the gym, he takes it upon himself that he introduces himself, makes contact, and then immediately follows up with like progress reports on all of the kids. so we get great follow-up that way. And so this youth development thing has really started to flourish. And again, we give it away. We don't charge for it. And it's our hope that one, we want to do it for the benefit of the kids, but we're not stupid. We want these kids to become clients eventually when they get of an age where they're participating in higher level of sport and they need the training. So, we're sort of building our little army with our kids and the parents. And so that's basically what we're doing from our end. That makes a big impact. Does that help?
Yeah,
Brian?
sorry. I was on mute again.
Cool. So I guess with that, something I want to know is, I noticed, as soon as you walk into iFast, you're being told a story, and the first thing you walk in, there's just from your signage to the things that you guys have on the wall to the things you guys display, to the way that everyone interacts, the way that the front desk is, how did you guys over time develop that system, develop the environment, the atmosphere that you guys have? Because I think it really is special. I mean, I've been in gyms in a lot of states all over the country, and it's definitely something that's very palpable when you walk into iFast. So I think that that's something worth noting, even for people that work, one-on-one in gym settings that we have now.
Well, we spent a lot of time, Mike and I, before we had any place to put the facility, we literally sat down on multiple occasions and just decided, okay, if we created the perfect place, what would it be? How would it run? Who would be there? And how would we staff it and all that? We literally created our utopia, and then we didn't compromise. And so, and Mike will tell you the story, because Mike worked a hell of a lot harder in that facility than I did when we first opened, because I was still in the clinic 4 days a week. So 4 days a week, Mike got up at 4:30 every morning, and he opened and he closed. And then I would open and close on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And we worked that for, over a year like that before we actually hired someone. And so we knew what we wanted, and again, we weren't willing to compromise, whether it be on clientele or whether it be on employees. From an employee standpoint, we decided early on that, we can teach anybody anything they need to know in regards to how we want our clients taken care of. So we started with really nice people. And that's our interview process, which has, again, evolved now because of the way we take on our interns and such. But we just got really, really nice people that we could teach how to train. And we've evolved. We've gone through several employees, but, from a staff training perspective, they got to be nice and they got to be able to learn. And so every trainer that we've ever had, except for one, was hired from within. So every trainer we've ever had was a former intern, and then later on became an employee, whether immediately after their internship or even later on. So like Jay Chung, who's our morning guy, was an intern, and Jay's got a degree in philosophy of all things and plays the violin. So that was his background coming in. But if you've met him, and you guys met him, he's an exceptionally nice human being, and very well read and very intelligent. And once he decided what he wanted to do, he dug in full bore, and now he's an amazing coach. But knew nothing coming in the door. And so he just evolved. And we actually got him a job in Washington, D.C. After his internship, because we liked him so much and we knew some people. And then we had an opening for us, and we let Jay know and immediately stole him back from this place in D.C. And he's been with us for I don't know how many years now, but 6 years, probably 7 years. As far as defining a client, and this is going to sound really general, we just wanted serious people. We wanted people that were going to take this seriously. We didn't want the half-assers or the people that would, drive around the parking lot looking for the closest parking space only to come in and walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes. We wanted people that wanted to get something out of their experience. They were very goal-oriented. They had something specific in mind. And so we wanted somebody that was serious. And we created the environment that we wanted to work in, and then we had to find the clients that fit into that. And so then what we do now is, so we have a trial membership that we have. It's a very low risk kind of a thing. It's probably less than half of what it would cost for the full services that they're actually getting. But we give them a month-ish kind of a thing where they actually get to experience the gym, and they get about 3 times a week for 4 weeks kind of a thing. Where they're with our coaches, they get the full program design, they get the full assessment concept, and so they really get a taste for what we do. And about 80% of those people that go through the entire process sign up, and it's the 20% of the people that don't sign up are the people that we don't want. And so it works out really, really well. So we weed them out from the get-go. Again, let's see, trial membership, serious people. So it really comes down to, can I throw Amanda in here for a second?
Sure.
If you want like an experience of a specific environment, you go to Mark Fisher's, and there's no compromise there. That's the environment that they've created, and it works really, really well for them. And so it's kind of the same concept. And Mark's a little bit more exceptional because, even his former employees sit there with unicorns on their head. So, but it's a very special place. And so we consider IFAST a very special place. So we don't want to compromise, if we have a professional athlete that doesn't fit, guess what? They don't stick around. They just don't like us, or we don't like them. But the nice thing is I've only ever fired one client. In 8 years of our existence, I've asked one person. I didn't ask one person, actually. I told them they were leaving. I literally kicked her out of the gym. And she had been a client for 3 years and somehow developed a sense of entitlement far and above what she had earned. And, she was becoming disruptive, and she had to leave. And that's only ever happened once. And so our retention is exceptionally good. And again, our weeding out process from the get-go is very good. So I think that's one of the reasons why we have the environment that we have, because we just decided, it's like, what is the perfect place to be? And you guys got a little taste of like a little round table discussion in the purple room that day.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was really awesome.
And so that's a weekly occurrence. I mean, that happens every week. And it takes a certain type of person to go into that scenario, consistently contribute, consistently walk away with ideas and how we apply these things. And so, we created a utopia for us, and we just don't compromise. I'm not. Like I said, I don't care if you're a professional athlete. You don't fit. You don't fit. You don't stay. It just doesn't.
That's awesome. I can totally appreciate that. Guys, we got a couple minutes left. Does anybody have anything else for Bill? Amanda does. She raised her hand.
You don't have to raise your hand.
A book right now, book that you think is amazing that you would recommend in any realm of life.
Any realm of life.
Fitness, business, fiction, best book right now.
Well, I tell you what, The Dark Knight 3 is really good.
What were those books you mentioned earlier? You said there was 2 books.
Neurophysiological Basis of Movement by Mark Latache.
Yeah. And then Science of Practice of Strength Training by Zoltowski. And those are foundational books. I mean, those are what I was talking about before, the stuff that's lacking. When we talk about education for the people in our industry, those are 2 really, really strong books. Man, it's like, so what am I reading now? Do you want to know what I'm reading now? Hang on. I'm a dork. What can I say? So, can you see that?
Holy shit.
It's right here next to me. Have you guys read the Franz Bosch book yet?
I don't think so.
Strength Training and Coordination? Excellent.
No.
Excellent. You won't agree with all of his strength training recommendations, but his understanding of movement is exceptional. So I recommend that. Strength Training and Coordination. It is not an American publisher, but if you search on, here you go, ready? Strength Training and Coordination, an Integrative Approach by Franz Bosch, Bosch. He also wrote a book about running. He's got a DVD on running. So he's actually a scientist and a coach, which is rare. So we get the best of both worlds. But I think that's why some of his strength training recommendations are a little iffy. But it's an excellent book if you want to understand movement, especially dynamic movement. So I'd say from a training perspective, that's really good. Business book. The first one that pops into my head is Starting with Why by Simon Sinek. You guys read that?
Yep.
So that's a really good book to actually understand. It helped, me even refine how we do things and why we do things. So I thought that was really good from a thinking perspective. My fiction is strictly comic books. Always has been.
I've got tickets for Deadpool tomorrow.
So we have 11 guys going to Deadpool all at the same time after work tomorrow. And I have dinner with my brother and his wife. So I'm a little miffed about that, but I'll take the gorgeous one. We'll go later this weekend for sure. So does that help, Amanda?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Wes, were you trying to chime in there too?
Honestly, I was just going to ask how far away it is from Chicago because I
3
live
hours.
in Chicago.
3 hours.
Okay, cool.
Are you in Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Sometime I'll stop by.
We get a lot of people from Chicago. IFAS is a weird place. I think the internet made the world seem very, very small. We get people from all over the country and strangely enough, all over the world. We've had 2 people from Japan, 1 person from Bulgaria, a couple from Australia. It's just kind of odd. But
that's awesome.
What I'd prefer, Todd, would be to have 1,000 people from Indianapolis. That would be even better.
Be a lot more profitable.
It's better for our receivables base if we can get more people.
Totally. I get that, man.
But it is kind of neat. I mean, I don't know what it says about us or if it's just the way the internet works these days.
Yeah, but there's a ton of fucking noise on the internet, man. So it says something. You know what I mean?
Well,
we do something right.
It's funny too because Todd and I went to that what was it, Brews and Books next door, and we're small talking with someone.
Oh yeah.
They're like, "What are you here for?" And we're like explaining, we're at this gym right next door, and they're like, "Oh, what do they do?" I think maybe like came up with, "Are they like CrossFit?" And we started explaining, like, no, they're literally ranked top 10 gyms in America every single year, and I can't believe you don't know about it. And they're like, right here? We're like, right here.
I know. We've actually had meetings there, and then we have a group of chicks in the gym that all get together on a monthly basis as part of our little. And they did it themselves. They literally, like, there's like 12 or 15 ladies that all get together, and they just go hang out someplace for a night. Like they go to like a pottery class, but they hung out in Books and Brews for a night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That place is cool. I would move to Indianapolis just for that place.
We've actually had people that talk about that, so it's kind of weird. But Indy's a great little city. If it was on a coast, it'd be hugely popular and massive, I'm sure. But we got everything. It's just shitty weather.
Well, it's not much better in Pennsylvania, so I could deal with it. But
I have one last question. I guess just being like a business owner and having actual physical location.
Mm-hmm.
You and Robert are the sole owners of iFast. Did you guys bring in any investors, any startup capital, or did you guys just, invest?
This is really cool. By the way, do you have a time limit? Because I don't care. I got nothing to do tonight.
It's up to you, man. Keep going.
All right, I'll go as long as you want. Honest to God, because the gorgeous one is working late tonight, so I'm like free as a bird. So when Mike and I started the business, we literally pooled resources. So I was in a smaller town just north of where we are now, and I had built a house. And when I built the house, I built an 11,000 or not 11,000. Whew, that'd be big.
Wow.
1,100 square foot. Yeah. The stipulation is that if I built this house for my then wife, that I would have a large gym so I could actually train people out of the house. And so I had 1,100 square feet, and it was the best equipped gym in all of Westfield, Indiana. And so I was already loaded for bear in that regard. Mike actually had, like, if you go into the gym, if you guys remember all the red oriented stuff, like the red rack and the red benches and the glued ham and all that stuff. So Mike literally had that jammed into a garage and was training there. And so when we got together, we had to buy two squat racks, and that's it. And so from an equipment standpoint, we had everything that we needed. And then we just pooled our money. We didn't borrow anything. And we set everything up ourselves. And we had a couple of. I had a student at the time, and who helped move all our stuff in. And literally, when we opened our doors, we owed nobody. A single cent. So we opened this thing all on our own, and we ran it off of our own money, just reinvesting as we made money for the first 3 years, maybe 4 years. And then we wanted to do a massive upgrade, and that's the first time we ever borrowed money. But we already had a great foundation with the bank. They knew who we were by name. If we walked in, they would greet us by name. By the way, if you ever have to do your own banking, I suggest you go in. Do not go through the drive-through, because once the tellers get to know you, you've got an in. It's one of my things. And so we've never really owed anybody anything other than 2 small business loans that we used for upgrades. So like the big floor that you guys saw when you were in the gym, there was a brand new floor. We borrowed a little bit for that, but all that stuff's paid off. So, we just do that just so we don't hurt our little financial foundation, and we can pay things off. We pay things off quicker than we need to, obviously, but it's just a nice way to do it if you can. And so save your bucks. I don't recommend a massive outlay to start a business, because this is not the type of business that you need to do that with, unless you've got, hundreds of clients already that you're going to move into a facility. So I don't know if that helps you or not.
Yeah.
And then get a partner.
Yeah.
That always helps too. I mean, Mike and I didn't know each other for very long before we had decided that we were going to do something together. We did the Inside Out project, the DVD that we did, the first DVD that we did that. And then we both sort of hit critical mass about the same time, where we just couldn't work any more clients in the current manner that we were, and we had to do the facility thing. So I would suggest you wait as long as possible to expand, and as long as possible before you dive into something that creates overhead, because we were both running 0 overhead businesses before we put iFast together. And now, and we still try to minimize that, because our biggest expenses obviously are employees, but we do things very gradually. But we're actually at the point now that we're probably gonna have to expand again, which, not a bad problem to have. But yeah, that came a little quicker than we thought it would, because we just started a new lease.
I'm definitely finding trouble finding a partner, because I definitely think that, because I'm doing everything. I'm doing the payroll, I'm doing the billing, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the social media. I have a staff of about 5 trainers.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are like my assistants and / trainers.
Right.
What would your advice be to like finding a partner?
So here's the type of partner that I would not get. I would not get another technician. I would not try to partner with another trainer. I would try to partner with a guy that wants to develop a business, that knows something about marketing, that knows something about processes. All right. And let him run the day-to-day stuff, and you be the technical guy. And again, both Mike and I were technical guys, and there's our biggest mistake, right? But Mike has evolved into a great manager, again, because he spent more time at the gym than I did initially.
Yeah.
And so but we have business coaches that help us with a lot of the business side of things. And so, our evolution was slow, probably slower than it probably could have been. But that's just because, we were the guys that wanted to be out on the floor working with the people. And then we go, oh shit, we got to do payroll. Oh shit, we got to do all these other things, And so find somebody that's got the business head, and then demonstrate your value to him, or her. Yeah, I guess girls do this stuff now too, right? I'm sorry, Amanda. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. You know that. But no, seriously, that's what I would do. And if you want like a model of that, I think Cressy's is probably like that. I think Pete's the business guy, and then Eric's always been like the technical guy. And you want somebody that complements you, doesn't duplicate you. And again, that was our mistake. And again, probably slowed our growth from the get-go. And now we're finally, we're 8 years in, so we don't suck anymore. But, we could have been a lot bigger, a lot faster,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. Anybody else?
Oh,
Mike.
this is
Bill, sorry, I'm getting people mixed up. A question about iFastU, if you don't mind. Is there any chance that we could get like a guest post or something from Eric O? I saw from Eric, I don't know how to say his Otter. I saw the energy system he did a while back, and I've always wanted to
Otter?
Hear a little bit more from him.
Otter's up to his ass in physical therapy school and a PhD program at the same time, so
Yeah,
That's a lot.
he doesn't do a lot right now. But just make sure you keep in touch with that guy, because there's going to be a point in time where he's going to explode, and he's going to be the man.
Right.
Nobody I've ever met can consume more information and integrate it than he does, and that's in regards to everything, from the brain to physiology to the immune system to everything. I would love for Eric to do something, but I talk to him every day. I mean, we text every day, but I just know that he's like literally up to his ass in work right now. He's trying to get PT school done. He graduates from PT school in May, but he's already started his PhD program this semester as well. So he's got two PhD classes, plus research, plus PT school, plus a new girlfriend, plus he consults with the Hawks. It's like he's all over the place. But yeah, no, I don't disagree with you in regards to wanting more from him, but I just don't think we're going to get it. At least not yet.
What about iFastU? I think that's a really good resource for everyone here to hear about. Maybe talk a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So let's go way back to the earlier question about what we focus on too much or what we should be focusing on. So this is our answer. Okay. So we take interns every semester in the gym. I take a PT student every semester in my practice. And so we've been doing this on a very small scale. And it's just like, well, but there's all these other people that would probably benefit from this. And so basically what we have done is we have created iFast University, which is our mentorship program. We're actually meeting this weekend. We're going to it's already, we've 4 months of content up, I think. And we're meeting this weekend. We're going to lock ourselves in the purple room with markers and the big whiteboard. And we're actually laying out a brand new curriculum that's going to literally create this foundation that I was talking about before, in addition to creative stuff that we've already done, as far as like just the coaching concepts, et cetera, et cetera. So literally we're going to create this one-stop shop continuing education forum that is very low end cost to the professional, but you're going to get the stuff that I think is lacking, as far as what people need to know, how to apply it. It will continue to evolve over time, but like I said, we got the commentary that we're getting has been exceptional, and our retention in just the 4 months has been really, really good too. So it's going to get bigger, but it I don't know if it'll end up being like the place. In my opinion, it probably will be, but what do I know? I'm biased. I'm not afraid of that. But that's basically what we're trying to create. It's like say you got a degree or a cert, and you just want to know what to do next. What do I need to know? What is going to give me this critical thinking capability that I need to function in this industry effectively? And we throw some business stuff in there too that is a little creative every once in a while too. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do we go through you if we do want to cancel, since you brought that up?
Well, you're not allowed to cancel.
It's no, it's cool because it's videos, it's Mike's brain, it's Bill's brain, and I think it's really valuable.
Well, was anybody at the Performance Summit in November? Anybody that's on here? Was anybody there? No?
Went the year
The
before.
Midwest?
Yeah. Were we at the Midwest?
Well, year before.
Okay. You kind of know what I'm talking about. But so what we did this year with the Physical Performance Summit this year was we gave all of our staff an opportunity to speak. And we did it in like a TED Talk format, so that we gave them like 15, 20 minutes, and they all did a specialized topic. And I've never been a more proud father of all of our guys, because they killed it. It was amazing. Like they shocked me and surprised me. And I work with these guys every day, and I thought, man, these guys are a powerful resource. And then we just started talking. It's like, and we'd always talked about doing something like this. But it was just like after that, the ball really got rolling, and it was like, we got to do this, and we got to take advantage of our own guys, because I mean they're bringing stuff to the table that we didn't know that they knew, and so you get everybody from IFAST on this. It's not just me and Mike. Ty is a Lee Taft disciple. He worked with Lee for several years after he's quit playing ball, and Lee literally turned his business over to Ty when Lee went off and did his bigger consulting things. And so I mean, gosh, what a resource. And then Jay's evolved into this amazing coach, and just some of the stuff that he comes up with on his own, as far as how he communicates with people that you just don't do naturally, because he's very shy. And yet he has this huge personality when he's on the floor. And so he has like created this persona that works exceptionally well. Lance, if you guys know Lance, Lance would be the model in the Assess and Correct video. That's where he got his big break. So Lance was 19 when he came to IFAST, and he had no money. And he wanted to train with us. And so Lance cleaned our toilets. And when we let him train with us. And he has evolved into our youth athletic development guy. He does a large portion of the new assessments that come in now. He is our Saturday morning coach, and then he works 2 evenings a week, and he fills in for everybody when they're on vacation. So he's in this constant state of revolving doors. But he's become exceptionally valuable to us, and as far as understanding the learning process. Lance is terrific. And so some of the content that he's thrown up on IFAST has been ridiculous. So you get everybody at IFAST. It's pretty cool. And then, like I said, after this weekend, it's going to be a bigger monster than we have actually intended it to be. So it will continue to grow. So there's my sales pitch, and I appreciate you letting me talk about it. But
No, of course. I mean, listen, it's all about putting the right resources in front of people, man. We're all in this together, so let's all learn and take care of each other. So
yeah. Well, that was really warm, Todd. That was
Bill, you've met me. I'm a very warm guy. I'm welcoming.
You're on my favorite people list.
No shit.
Yeah. Anybody can tolerate Roussel for a year? I mean, come on.
No, dude, he's done, man. That guy's done so much to take care of me. He really has. He's great. Yeah.
He's a great.
He really is. So, anything else?
Nothing? Man. All right. This is fun.
Well, this is awesome, Bill. Thank you
This is
so much.
wacky though. This whole thing I'm looking at is just kind of catching me out.
It's weird, isn't it?
That was
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Hey, you are most welcome. Is it cold in Chicago?
Dude, it's really fucking cold.
Is that why you're wearing a tank top?
I knew that.
Well, the old lady's a little smaller than me, and she's got the heat on real high. So just a little thing. Hostess on her.
I strongly recommend the onesie concept.
That's hysterical. Bill, did you hear the accent? That's the central Pennsylvania accent.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it is.
The mother's calling me. She wants her computer. I gotta get out
I have
of
a question. I have a question then. Do I have any of my Pennsylvania accent left over?
No, it's
I
gone.
can
Man.
speak in
here.
Pennsylvania.
No,
I
You
lost
got nothing. You don't have
Right.
anything, Bill.
I can't
I gotta go.
usually say light. You know how you say light
Like
in Pennsylvania, and you say light. It's like
Yeah.
this.
inflection. We put too much inflection on
We
everything.
finish everything as like we're asking a question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I grew up where the barbells are made, boy.
I know that place is
Yay.
awesome. It really is. But cool. Let's awkwardly sit here until everyone's done.
Well, I see people that haven't asked questions. Are you
I
leaving?
know.
I'm leaving.
Where are you living now?
I'm living in Kansas City until April 1st, and then I'm venturing back to New York City.
Are you serious? You going back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tired of
Yep.
that high stress level in Kansas City? You just need to calm down and go back.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly.
Every time I've gone to New York, I haven't been able to do number 2 because my butt clenches so tight as soon as I get off the plane.
It's a high stress place.
Yeah, a lot of anxiety.
I get in a cab at the airport and I just clench for like the whole week.
That's unfortunate.
Gain like 15 pounds while I'm there.
That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
Good. We have to
15.
come visit. And I'm driving to New York, so I want to drive through. I'll get a hold of you, but I want to do an assessment on my drive through to New York.
Come through.
Yeah, so I'll get a hold of you, and I would love to do an assessment.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for being
Bye.
here.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye.
Aw.
Cool.
Where's all the quiet people? That's what I want to talk to.
Alyssa.
Hi.
Alyssa's not normally quiet at all.
No, but I was
Where are you?
late in the call, so I'm just absorbing all of it.
What is your name, hon?
Alyssa,
Alyssa. Where are you from, Alyssa?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're dominating Chicago. We got 3 or 4 people from Chicago in the group.
We're just dominating. Out of all those people, we got 3.
Yeah, we got
Exciting.
4.
Did you just do a show up there?
Yeah,
Or-
in January. Yep. Yeah,
Is that one day?
I did 2.
The 2 day?
2 day. Yep. It was awesome. That's what I've done so far.
Okay.
It was awesome.
You guys-
Alyssa wasn't there, but
No, but at least I got to meet you in person.
you did. You did.
And then I get to see you fools in April. I'm so excited that plane fare is only like $189. I was like jumping for joy.
That'll be cheap.
It's so cheap.
What's going on in April?
We're doing a seminar. We're doing strength faction seminar.
You're invited. You should come.
Alyssa just invited you.
Where is it?
It's at Chris's.
I'm sorry, say it again?
That's at my gym right next to the Dulles Airport.
Oh, okay. So DC?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd. Todd, is that the same weekend that Dietz is at Ranfone?
It is.
Yep.
It is.
You know if Ranfone is going to record Dietz at all?
I have not talked to Mike Ranfone in months. I'm not your guy.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that they recorded the Val seminar, so they might. I don't know, but I think Omega Wave recorded that.
I'm trying to think if they did record that or not.
Mm.
Yeah. I was there. I can't remember.
That was a lot
I
of noise.
know that someone had asked, and that Mike wound up saying that he thought Omega Wave was going to record it. So I don't know.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Val's smart.
So what's your content? What are you talking about?
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Well, Chris.
Am I giving something away by asking?
No, man. Honestly,
No.
we're not even charging everybody that's in Strength Faction. We're doing it for them for free.
Get
So
the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So
Seriously?
yeah,
yeah.
They love us.
Pay it forward, baby. I love it.
yeah. So we're. I'll do my progression and regression stuff. I'll do my coaching stuff, my coaching philosophy stuff, and we'll talk about how we use mobility
Uh-oh.
and involve dogs in conversations.
Yes.
And
Do the dogs get to be part of the seminar?
I'll bring Stella, but no one will be able to handle her.
Yeah. If anyone, you guys are more than welcome anytime. So anyone that comes to my house, because I live right, seriously, 1 minute drive from
We're
the gym.
sleeping over.
I know that. Anyone that's staying at the DoubleTree is literally on the road that I live on, and it's also all a 1 minute drive from the gym. So I'm sure you guys will wind up here. My dogs are nuts. I apologize.
This is exciting. I'm so excited.
So
Yeah, Bill.
So we'll all just camp out in the living room. We'll get sleeping bags. We'll stay up late.
Oh my
Can we
god.
jump on the couch?
So many stories. The couch is leather though, so it might be slippery.
what we'll probably do is throw somebody on an inversion table and flip them over. That's never experienced.
No one's ever done that in your apartment.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the story.
In my old condo, it doesn't really matter who, but in my old condo, Todd was a jerk and told someone that had never been on an inversion table before, yeah, just hop on. And
I was like, you gotta throw yourself into it.
yeah, you
Oh my
throw
god.
your arms overhead. And next thing you know, this dude is stuck upside down and having a panic attack.
It was hysterical. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Do you have a trampoline?
Hot tub?
No hot tub, but
No hot tub? I'm sorry.
we reserve those for travel.
Yeah.
Like
You
in
know what?
Indianapolis?
I'm only traveling to hotels that will have a hot tub in my room.
We'll
been a
call the
precedent
DoubleTree for you, see what they can do.
Do you have a trampoline in your backyard?
I
Okay, so
don't. Do we
You
need
feel the
one?
need to do some flips?
His backyard's like 4 feet.
First
Oh.
off, my
It's bigger
backyard-
than what we have in the concrete jungle.
Oh man.
That's fun.
Is there anything else I can do for you guys? This is fun.
I don't think so. I'm super pleased. That was unbelievable.
That was awesome.
Very cool.